So students, this is lesson 7.3, other circle angles. Remember, I warned you that there would be a total of 7 different circle angles, 7 of them. And you've had 3 so far, and today you're getting 4. So let me just draw in the next 4, and then we'll describe what they are and go over them. So one of them is a chord because it's made up of 2 chords. Then you have a secant. And a secant starts outside the circle and goes through at 2 points. So that would be an example of a secant, either as a ray or even a segment. But either way, they intersect at 2 points. That's a secant, and it starts outside the circle. Then you have a tangent secant. Tangent, secant. Tangent touches at 1 point, secant goes through at 2. Its vertex also starts outside. Then you have what I call a tan. Tangent, tangent. Also, vertex starts outside. Here, the vertex is inside. So what are these 4 equations? For a chord, both these angles are going to be exactly the same because they're vertical. So we have angle equals. To get either of those angles, you add the arcs. It's straddling. You add them. So that would be 1 arc. And here would be the other arc. Over 2. So for those red chord angles, you take the arcs it straddles or strides, you add and divide by 2. That's going to get you those angles right in here. Now, all 3 of these, you're going to notice the vertex is out. Same position, same equation. So when you have the same position of the vertex, it has the same equation. So for all of these outside angles are going to be angle equals, angle equals, angle equals. And it's going to be this big arc minus the little arc over 2. Or divide by 2. Big arc minus little arc over 2. So that angle is going to be the big arc minus the little arc that it's striding over 2. Big arc minus little arc. So the way I see it is that the angle, think of the angle at your chin and your arms come out, and it's going to be the big arc at your fingertips minus the smaller arc at your elbows divided by 2 gets the angle back at your chin, if you think of it viscerally. So imagine, let me go this way. So let's pretend I'm a secant. I'm reaching out, I'm going through the circle, so it's big arc at your fingertips minus the little arc at your elbow over 2 to get that angle back here. Big arc minus little arc over 2. Now you have all 7 angles. Now we can do the entire song, and I dare you to actually sing it in class. See if you can't get a classmate to join you. Ready? Measure of a central angle to its arc the same. The smaller angle of inscribed is half the arc its plane. A tan chord angle is the same as the one inscribed. A chord angle's half the sum of the arc it strides. Secant, tangent, tan angles are all the difference of their arcs multiplied by half. Sorry for you musicians, that ends kind of awkwardly, but that's the best I could do. I couldn't get it to rhyme. One more time from the top. Measure of a central angle to its arc the same. The smaller angle of inscribed is half the arc its plane. A tan chord angle is the same as the one inscribed. A chord angle's half the sum of the arc it strides. Secant, tangent, tan angles are all the difference of their arcs multiplied by half. Go from here to today's handout, right here. We're going to do some problems together. Let's see what we have here. We're told down below that C is a center, DH is a diameter, and EJ intersects the circle at H. EJ intersects the circle at H, and GI intersects the circle at K and D. So, knowing this information, give a chord. A chord is a segment endpoint on the circle. So there's several chords here. One chord I could write like this. KD, the chord. Here would be another one. KH. And all diameters are automatically chords. DH. What's a secant? A secant goes through the circle at 2 points. That's a secant. So a secant here is going to be GI, and you've got to have the line symbol so that it goes all the way through. GI, that's a secant. What's a tangent? A tangent, just to recap, touches the circle at 1 point. So that's going to be EJ, the line. That's a tangent. Now we come over here. Step number 1, physically trace the angle you're working with. Just always physically trace it. So we're tracing. Next, you want to go to your reference booklet right here and match it with which of these 7 angles. That's what you're trying to match it with. We have here a chord and a chord. So it is a chord angle. You look here on your chart, a chord angle is angle equals arc plus arc over 2. So what do we have here? PR is and ST are both 40. And it's asking you to find the angle SUT, which is this angle right here. So the angle which we don't know equals big arc plus the other arc over 2. So in this case, this chord angle is 40. We're going to do 3 more. Taking a look at this one. Again, always start by tracing the angle and identifying what it is. Trace, trace. This is a tangent. This with 2 points is a secant. It is a tangent secant angle, or tan secant angle for short. You come over here and you look what can you do with a tan secant angle? It's right here, tan secant. Tan secant angle, this angle back here is going to equal the big arc minus the little arc over 2. Big arc minus little arc over 2. Let's see what we have here. We are told VYW, the angle. VYW, the angle is 44. That means the angle right here is 44. VW, which is this right here, it's 166. That's the smaller arc. That's not the smaller arc. That's the bigger arc. I take that back. VW is 166. It's your bigger arc. Minus, you don't know the smaller arc. That's your unknown, and that's what we're trying to find. Vx over 2. Now you solve. We're going to cross multiply. Minus unknown. Minus 166. It's basically going to be 88 away from 166. It's 15, 16, that's 8, 7. So we have here negative 78 equals negative unknown, divide by negative 1, and our arc is going to be 78. Now, how do you know you're correct? Let's do 166 minus 78. It's going to be 8. 8, and then we divide by 2. We get 44. There's our check. Again, trace the angle you're working with and identify what it is. This is a tan-tan. Tan-tan. And a tan-tan angle, tan-tan angle equals big arc minus the little arc over 2. So we see what we've been given here. We've been given VXW is 76. So VXW, the angle is 76. And we want to find this arc, and you're like, there's nothing there. So what do? Just be very careful about how you define this. Watch. This is an angle. So we put the 76 here, big arc minus little arc over 2. The problem is there's no arcs. So what do? Let me show you very carefully. We're going to take this 76 and put it where the angle is, because that's what we're told it is. And there's a couple ways to do this. The trick to this is knowing that circles always add up to 360. And you can see a tan-tan splits it by the definition of 360. So if this green is X, the blue is simply going to be 360 minus X. That's an important concept. This is only happening with the tan. So our big arc is going to be 360 minus X minus our green arc, which is just X, over 2. Let me color code this for you. This was the blue arc. This is the green arc. We're going to cross multiply. I have 2 times 76 equals 360 minus 2x. 76 times 2. I have 152 equals 360 minus 2x, minus 360. We get 360 minus 152, basically. We're going to borrow. We get 802. So I have negative 208 equals negative 2x. We're going to divide by 2. And we get negative 2. And we get x equals 104. So 360 minus 104. That's 6, that's 5, and this is going to be 256. So your big arc is 256, and your small arc, which is the green one, is 104. Down here, again, start by tracing. And this is a chord. Taking a look here, a chord is going to be angle equals 1 arc plus the other arc over 2. 1 arc plus the other arc over 2. Let's figure out what we have here. We are told VZW right here, 76. Big arc, XY is 57. And then this is the arc we don't know. We're going to call it X. So 57 plus X over 2. Cross multiply. That's going to be 152 equals 57 plus X. Borrow. That's 5. Your answer is 95. It's nice, you could always do a check. 95. 57, let's see here, it's going to be 12, carry the 1, 152, and if you divide 152 by 2, you get 76. Now take all your notes, log on to Alex, and do the exit ticket 7.3 for 10 progress points.